All right, so we're back here on another Couch Coach Live, man. We are back. It's been a while. It's been about 2 weeks. Took some time off just to kind of get yourself back into the groove, and we're here. What's going on, JB? JB in the building. What's tonight?
No, nothing much, man. What's going on with you, Couch
Nothing
Coach?
much, man. Nothing much, man. Just another day. Just getting ready for the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll be talking about the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll preview that, and then also we'll have our guy from Draft Deeper. We'll get ready to get you guys set for the 2021 NBA Draft. Detroit Pistons is officially on the clock, so we'll definitely talk with him and get that all sorted away, and we'll talk about that as well. And without further ado, let's kick that intro and let's start this week's Couch Coach Live. All right, so we're here back in. So before we get started on tonight's Couch Coach Live, man, we got to definitely talk about the breaking news story. And it's funny, we talked about it earlier as far as who we thought, the speculation, who was going to be the Celtics coach. And I feel like, I think we talked about it around like 3 o'clock or so. And I think that's when kind of the news kind of came into fruition where Yumi Udoka is the new head coach for the Boston Celtics. Your thoughts on the hire for Boston?
I actually like the hire. He's paid his dues. Actually, he was on, if I'm not mistaken, he was on Pop's coaching staff for a while. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, he was a part of that 2014 Spurs championship team. Yep. He's been one of those guys. He's been rising up the ranks. I'm really glad to see him get a job. But yeah, no, I really think the Boston job is not that bad of a job. I like the move of them moving Kemba Walker. I think when healthy, Kemba is still a good player, but like there are a lot of doubts, with Kemba and his knee, and they were able to get back, the veteran statesman of that team, Al Horford, and I think he'll be good for locker room chemistry and stuff like that as well. So I think that Boston job is good. You have two really good pieces. You have Jason Tatum, you have Jalen Brown, and you have some other like nice playable young pieces on that team too. So I like the hire, and I really think that he'll have a lot of opportunities to succeed, like very early on.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely as well. Like you said, he paid his dues. He's another Pop protege, so that definitely bodes well in his favor. So yeah, I definitely like the move, and he's been got like high praise. I know a lot of guys like what he was doing like in Team USA. So a lot of guys have kind of looked at him as like and then with him being 43, that's another good thing. He's a young coach, and he's taking over one of the most historic franchises in NBA history. So I definitely like the move for him. And and speaking of so I'm telling you, something's going on with Twitter, man. Twitter is weird. So Jay Will, your boy, well, our boy, because he's a Bull too. He's a former Bull and a Dookie. So there was a tweet out that said that he congratulated him and said he was the first ever black coach for the Boston Celtics. And
oh my god!
But Jay Williams, and I'm gonna actually pull up his tweet, and I'm gonna I'm not gonna badmouth Jay Will because according to him, it was somewhat like an accident per se. So it was more so of the simple fact of okay. Here you go. As it relates to the Boston Celtic tweet that came from my account and a couple of hours ago, I did not post that, and my passcode has now been changed.
Don't you just love it how all of this time it's like when something bad happens to you on Twitter or Instagram, it's always you got hacked. Come on, man. You guys got to come up with something else, man. Like, come on. Bill Russell, Casey Jones, bro, come on, man.
Right. Even the late Casey Jones.
Yeah,
and then Yeah, and then what's your jig? And then Doc Rivers. Like,
Well, I'm waiting for if Ty Lue or Monty Williams wins the championship this year, man. Congratulations to the first NBA black coach. And you know what'd be funny? It'd be funny if they did that for Ty Lue, and I'd be like, "Don't you guys remember 2016? Come on, bro, man!
oh,
Like, some man, yeah,
bro. And then remember, ML Carr used to be the coach, like in the 90s. ML Carr,
yeah.
like, bro, there's like five,
Yeah.
like there's like 5 black coaches for the Boston Celtics. Like,
Yeah, I know, yeah. But I'm just waiting for the person when Monty Williams wins the championship this year to be like, yeah, congrats, Monty Williams, you're the first black coach to win a championship. I'm waiting for that to happen. I really am. I'm waiting for that to happen. Yeah.
Right. and that'll probably happen. But yeah, but shout out to Jay Williams, man, for our history moment of the night.
Well, man, that Duke education don't work out sometimes.
Right. But yeah, man, definitely huge shout out to him, man. Like,
yeah.
But yeah, like you said, when people, I found that very convenient for him to have that kind of excuse. Like, it's funny to me. I'm like, man, that's just crazy, but it is what it is. Yeah. So, man, we're gonna, yeah. I'm sorry, yo. That's like, when I seen that on Twitter, I was like, bro, you can't be serious. Like, and it's funny because the first 2 names that popped in my head was Bill Russell and Doc Rivers. But then now I'm thinking back, like you said, you talked about
Casey Jones.
And then also, ML Carr, in the 90s when they were bad.
Yeah.
When my uncle was on the team, Rick Fox.
Rick Fox, yeah. Those are the dark years if you're a Celtics fan. kind of like the 2014, 2015, 2016 Lakers are a dark time if you're a Lakers fan.
Yeah.
Because I forgot, I was actually I saw that Jeremy Lin was on All That Smoke, and he was talking about his year with the Lakers and about how him and Kobe had beef. And I was like, damn, I forgot Jeremy Lin did play for the Lakers.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, because remember when they went to the Garden and they were trying to say Kobe didn't know who he was, but we knew.
Yeah,
that was just his competitive. That's his competitive nature. That's just how he rolled. But yeah, man. So let's talk about the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll talk about the Atlanta versus the Milwaukee Bucks. Your thoughts on the Eastern Conference Finals?
It's on mute.
Yeah.
No, nothing on mute.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Yeah. So, what are my thoughts on this matchup, man? I mean, good for the Hawks, man. I mean, like, they were the 5th seed. I mean, in the middle of January, the end of January, the Hawks were like 14-20. And they went on this unbelievable run. Shout out to Nate McMillan for actually allowing them to keep their up-tempo, because that was actually one of the things that I think that's like kind of a false narrative that's going on. It's like Indiana unfairly fired Nate McMillan, but people don't realize Nate McMillan was not pushing the ball at this tempo with Indiana. He had Indiana slow it down and stuff like that. So,
yeah.
But yeah, man. Congrats to Atlanta, Milwaukee. You get no congratulations from me. You basically lucked into the conference finals because come on, man. Like, and look, man, Milwaukee. Here's the thing, man. If you would have told me, you or anybody with any basketball sense, say like, hey, beginning of the series, hey, Kyrie Irving's gonna miss 3.5 games. James Harden is going to miss like three games and 3 quarters. I mean, I think we both probably would have said the Bucks were probably going to win that series in 5 games.
Absolutely, yeah.
And what did it do? It took them 7 games. It took them 7 games in the overtime. And quote to KD, if it wasn't for my big ass feet, that series is over with.
Correct.
That series is over. If his feet are if his foot is like 1.5 inches smaller, the series is
Yeah.
over with. That's a
Oh,
walk
yeah.
off. And I mean, like, so man, I can't respect Milwaukee, man. I'm like, we'll get into a breakdown a little later, but I really can't respect Milwaukee. Kudos to Atlanta. I don't give you guys much of a chance against Milwaukee because I don't think the matches work out that well for you, but
Yeah.
like, kudos to Atlanta, man, because Atlanta really, this is their first playoff run, and for them to make the conference finals. And I'm hoping it's not one of these situations because, every year, if you look at NBA history, you have this one team that goes on this like nice run and they never match it again. And I'm hoping this is not Atlanta because it could very well be Atlanta because just everything just broke right for Atlanta.
Yeah. And you think about, especially when and that's what we talked about as far as just the simple fact of the momentum. And then you think about like once, if because you think to yourself, and that's another team where you think like, oh, they'll have a run because we, now having DeAndre Hunter, Cam Reddish, and then so you look at those situations where it's like, oh, if this team made it this far, just imagine bringing those guys back and they're healthy. They fall into, like you said, that trap where we look at teams that are shorthanded in certain positions, and then if they come back healthy, how they could bode well. And like you said, and they have the youth. So like you said, the youth plays in that factor too, where you look at, this could be a situation where that happens, and hopefully, for Nate McMullen, for his sake, that this thing keep rolling, because you know how they do. Once you get to this level, and they expect this year in and year out. So definitely hope so. But yeah, this is going to be a definitely interesting matchup. I think you just look at Atlanta, like you said, Atlanta essentially is playing with house money.
They're
the ones ain't really not, well, they're not really supposed to be here per se, just for the sake of the fact, because and I even said this on the show a couple weeks ago where the Sixers had a paved road, because
oh yeah, they did.
I was thinking to myself like it was literally no excuse for this team not to make it, because we were like, okay, because if you beat the Hawks and Knicks series, who you play them, and then you got a straight shot to pretty much, you got a paved road to the Eastern Conference Finals, but that obviously didn't happen. But the Hawks, they were, that's another team where you look at, just from that standpoint, they really had no business beating Philly when we look at from the totality from a 7-game series.
No, and you know what's weird, Chris? I actually, if you would have told me, because with Embiid getting hurt in Game 4 against Washington, if you would have told me like, look, Embiid's not going to play, I actually probably would have picked the Hawks to win in 6 games, because I saw a lot from them during the year where I just felt it would be a struggle against Atlanta.
Yeah,
dude, Embiid.
I meant more so as far as the gameplay, like when you look at,
yeah.
As far as like you look at, because pretty much for the most part they only really dominated several quarters. Like we think about So I mean, going in, you had a shot, but as far as like going
but after I saw Game 2 and Game 3, I was like, man, this is looking like a 5-game series, man, and this is just like not good, man, because Embiid played. I know Embiid did not have a good Game 4, but Embiid played pretty well Game 5, Game 7. He played good in Game 1, 2, and 3. I mean, you would think that they would have been able to win the series. And dude, you can't blow big leads like that in the playoffs, man. Like, I mean, you could do it once and get away and win a series, but if you do it twice, man, it's not going to happen, man. And it's just that they have to be the biggest disappointment, I think, of all the teams that are out now. You have to look at Philly and say Philly is by far the biggest disappointment.
Yeah, big time. And and you just look at it from that standpoint of just, it's unfortunate, but like, let's see, but it's definitely interesting of how that all kind of played out. But absolutely. But let's get that.
Now let me ask you a question. Like, when it comes to like this conference finals matchup, what matchup do you think is going to make or break this series? Like, what matchup do you see being like a real, like, this could be the difference in like this being like a long series or this being a short series? Like, what matchup are you looking at?
I got two.
Yeah.
Obviously, from an offensive standpoint for the Hawks, I look at Trae Young versus Drew Holiday.
Yeah.
I look at that as like two key matchups. The key matchup with that one, as far as you look at Holiday, he's a good on the ball defender, so that definitely going to pose as a foe for Trae Young. Then the other one I'm really intrigued is that front court. I look at what Capella and John Collins can do with Giannis and them boys down low.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a committed to me, I think.
Yeah. Now the other thing that I would say too, man, like I think physically Capella is strong enough where he possibly could like handle Giannis with Giannis going downhill. I think it's gonna be a challenge, but I think Capella does have the upper body strength because like if you just don't have, that was one of the things that Brooklyn didn't have. Brooklyn didn't have really anybody strong enough to like physically deal with Giannis. Because KD, love the guy, but he's skinny as I don't know what.
Yeah, man.
And what's even funnier is that this dude, he came back bigger after the Achilles tear. Like KD put on some weight. KD wasn't as skinny as he used to be. I don't think a lot of people realize that. But the one I'm looking at though is like, what do you do about Middleton? If you're the Hawks, who do you put on Middleton?
Right.
Because I think Middleton could have a monster series this series. I really do. I think. Another thing that kind of is bothering me about Atlanta too, because I think we both had Atlanta beating the Knicks. I think I had Atlanta in 6, and I don't know. Did you have Atlanta in 6 or Atlanta in 7 against the Knicks?
Actually, according to my TikTok, I had the Knicks in 7.
Okay, but I had Atlanta in 6. I had Atlanta in 6, and I had Philly in 6. One thing that's really worrying me about this series too, because like what's going on with Bogdanovich, man? Because like he wasn't able to finish the game 7. He's got some knee issues. They're definitely going to need. I do think if Bogdanovich is okay and he can go, I think that they do have enough firepower where they'll be able to stay with Milwaukee. I do think that they'll have enough firepower. And one thing I will say, people talk about how great Milwaukee's defense is. One thing I don't really like about their defense is that they give up a lot of wide open threes, especially from the corner. So I think that's something else I'm looking at too. Is Atlanta able to knock down their corner threes? If they're able to knock down their corner threes, I think they can stay in the series.
Yeah, big time. And that huge shout out to our guy Q, aka Gamer G. Yo. Yes, sir. Hey man, I wouldn't say legends, but we old heads. Old head sprinklers. Old head sprinklers.
Who's Gamer G?
It's Quinn. QB.
Oh, Quinn. Okay, Quinn. Okay.
Gamer G. Yeah, man. Yeah, definitely shout out. Okay. Shout out to our former classmate.
Yeah.
We old head springers now.
We're
yeah, man, we old heads now.
Yeah. Yes, we are. Dude, man. Dude, it's been like 19 years, man. We graduated high school 19 years ago. Crazy, man.
Yeah, man. We so old, they got a new school. That's how old we are.
Yeah,
so
I know.
definitely huge shout out to Highland Springs High School, 15 South Oak Street, the home of a future Hall of Famer Mekhi Becton. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
how.
Hopefully he is able to get out of the shit show the Jets.
I think he gonna protect Zach Wilson. I think.
Oh no, I think he is. I think he does too. I just have no confidence in that front office. I think he's gonna be. I think he's a gamer, man. I think he's a gamer, man. I like him too, but man, just hopefully. Hopefully they don't ruin him like they've ruined a lot of other good players.
Well, he gonna be that gold jacket. I see the former Springer heading down the George Hollis Way in Canton, Ohio. I would say I would put all my money on it. I I put some money on the Atlanta Hawks today. I probably put the same amount of money on him making to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. But yeah, so we got before we head not head, but we got a special guest. So we're gonna talk about the NBA draft. And to get us started, man, we got our guy Nathan from Draft Deeper. He's in the building. Let's get him in. What's going on, Nathan?
How you guys doing?
I'm doing good, man.
What's up, man?
Gotta rep the brand, sir. Gotta rep the brand. We got the Draft Deeper sweatshirt right here.
Yeah.
Gotta rep it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I see that. I see you over there. Yes, sir. So, the Detroit Pistons gets the number one pick in the 2021 NBA draft. Your thoughts on the Pistons getting the top pick?
It's crazy. I said to somebody before I recorded my Lottery Reactions podcast last night, I was like, is the NBA ready for Detroit to be good again? Is the NBA ready for that? Because we remember those bad boy Pistons teams in the past, and it just has not been the same for Detroit for quite a while. So naturally, I am really happy for them that they got the number one pick. I think if the Houston Rockets would have got the number one overall pick, you would have had those crazy lottery conspiracy theory people coming out all over the place because Kate Cunningham being from Texas, potentially being the number one overall pick. So we quiet those people down a little bit. But yeah, that's going to be an exciting pick for the Detroit Pistons to be able to make, although there's some buzz. Apparently there are some people in the Detroit Pistons organization who like Jalen Green more than Cade Cunningham. So any draft day buzz, sign me up, guys. I'm all for it. Let's get the noise machines going on draft day.
I know that'll be definitely a great storyline for the next 5 weeks. I want that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think Cade's going to be the number one overall pick, though, and I think that he would be a really intriguing fit with the Detroit Pistons because if you look at that starting lineup, what it can be, you have Killian Hayes already there in the backcourt who was drafted last year, 6'5" guard. Cade obviously stands at about 6'8". Then you have Sadiq Bey on the wing, 6'7". Jeremy Grant about 6'8", 6'9", and then Isaiah Stewart being the shout out to Charles Barkley. Isaiah Stewart could be another round mound and rebound type guy as well. He's another bull in a china shop type rebounder. So you're talking about a team with legitimate size all over the place, extraordinary positional size. They could give some teams real problems on the defensive end. I don't know how physical of a defensive team they're going to be, but at least as long as they learn how to communicate properly, they're going to be disruptive, playing passing lanes, playing within a team defensive concept. And then, I mean, you guys know what Cade Cunningham brings to the table offensively. There's not really too much more to get into there.
I agree. I just have no confidence in their coach. I think that Dwayne Casey is just not a very good coach.
Not a Dwayne Casey guy?
No, not at all. Not after what I saw, some of the stuff that he did in Toronto. I'm not a big fan of his. So, yeah.
Well, I mean, you bring in another coach. Dwayne Casey's probably going to have another few years to work with the team if they don't see the results that they want to see with him. Yeah. You know, they can swap out the coach. But the talent is going to be there, and that's exciting for Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's something to cheer for in downtown Detroit. So,
yes, sir. It ain't going to be for the Lions, that's for sure. So, might as well give it something.
Absolutely.
Not a Jared Goff fan.
so I not to get too off topic from the draft, but I have defended Jared Goff multiple times in private circles. I'm not a Jared Goff hater. I'm not an optimist, but I wouldn't call myself a hater. So.
Okay.
So while they're biting kneecaps in Detroit, they'll be celebrating. It'll be a Cunningham Hayes backcourt and potentially in Detroit. So, if I would ask you about this 2021 class, now we have our iconic classes, 96, 84, 03. What's your overall thoughts on this class of 2021?
You guys are getting a little snapshot sneak preview. It's something that I'll be focusing on my podcast over the coming weeks, which would be my tier system and how I'm actually going to be categorizing these guys, just to give you a perspective in terms of the depth that I think this class has. I have 37 players graded as first-round prospects. So in some years that could be like 2025 guys. You have some fringe second rounders kind of breaking into that first round. Last year was a class that was, I think I probably had a little over 30, but 37 guys who I feel deserve a first round grade. That should be telling to a lot of people about the depth that this class has. We've heard all year long the star power, the top 5, top 6, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, if you have one of those picks, you should be ecstatic. But even if you have one of those later lottery picks all the way through the first round, as long as you're doing your homework on these guys, there's a really solid chance that you can bring in someone who can impact your organization right away. And when I say I have somebody as a first round grade, that means I think that they have like 1.5 to 2 translatable skills where they can earn minutes on the court right away. Maybe not blowing anybody's socks off, but they're at least able to get minutes. And then from there, that's how you really develop other parts of your game, is when you're able to get game experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to know your top 5 prospects in this draft class.
Oh man. So over at Draft Deeper, we don't necessarily do like a consensus, like big board type of approach. I'm trying to stick with more of a tier system, but I'll give you who I think shake out to be my top 4 based on those tiers, and then I'll give you 2 other guys to keep an eye on. So at the top, my top tier would be an MVP caliber player, right? So somebody that you can project onwards. And some years you don't have that type of player in the draft. I think there's 2 guys this year. So we talked about Cade Cunningham potentially being the number 1 overall pick to the Detroit Pistons. I think Jalen Green's also in that class. I have really come on to be a huge Jalen Green guy. I never necessarily got off of his bandwagon, but there's been a lot of buzz for Evan Mobley, who I also like, for Jalen Suggs, who I also like. I have those guys in a tier lower than those first 2, Cade Cunningham and Jalen Green. And I think this is a chance for the Houston Rockets to really do something with that number 2 overall pick. A lot of people would say the safest option would be to go with Evan Mobley, who, don't get me wrong, he's an incredibly mega talented prospect in his own right. But we see time and time again, I'm sure as you guys are watching in the NBA playoffs, it's important to have 2 scorers on the perimeter, right, who can create their own shot as well as create for others. And we saw what Kevin Porter Jr. is capable of doing towards the end of last year when he has his head on straight and he's all locked in, he's bought in. He can be a really, really special talent in this league for years to come, looking like a mini Harden out there. I absolutely love that. And I'm always rooting for that kid. I'm always rooting for people like that. So I want him to excel. But you pair Jalen Green with him on the perimeter. Now you're talking about 2 very explosive 20-plus points per game scorers who can do a variety of different things on the offensive end. So that to me would be great. And then you have Mobley, Suggs in that other tier. I don't see them as MVP caliber players, but definitely like max contract type guys. They'll get to at some point. And then in my 3rd tier, at the top of my 3rd tier, I would have Scotty Barnes, and then I would have Jonathan Kuminga. Those 2 are also going to be big names that you're going to hear a lot about in the coming weeks. So that's kind of like my snapshot of what the top of my 2021 tiers is looking like.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And like you said, Scotty Barnes is like he's a cheat code. I obviously following the ACC and a Tar Heel guy. He kind of carved us up a couple times. So
I don't know if you guys have caught any of Mike Schmitz's video breakdown yet with Scotty Barnes. I actually just got to watching that some of today, and the fire in his eyes, the competitive spirit, the joyfulness that he has, how intelligent he is as well. Like he was catching on like that to everything that Schmitz was bringing up to him in terms of like a video breakdown. So I love guys who are intelligent, who can communicate well with others, and who have that demeanor where they're going to do whatever it takes to win. And that's exemplified in their play on the court. They don't have to be loud. They don't have to be demonstrative. They don't have to be like Draymond Green or Pat Bev clapping their hands like a million different ways on the court or whatever. But you need to be able to see the passion come through in their game. And yeah, I love all that about Scotty Barnes.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
so
indeed.
So I'm guessing you're not a big fan of Jason Garrett either.
The clapper, as affectionately called by cousin Sal. Oh my God.
That's my last football reference in basketball talk.
Listen, man, we can keep it going. I'm a big NFL guy. We can keep mixing them in here, whatever you guys want to do.
I have a question for you, actually. Which of these picks do you think has like, and I hate to say this, but like, there's always one that you think has the potential to be a bust. Which one of these like guys that you have graded as the number one pick do you think has like high bust potential?
So to be honest with you, I think if we're going to choose one out of the 6 that I just named, it could be Jonathan Kuminga, just because of how raw he is as a player. He's also relatively new to the game of basketball in terms of playing years. So certainly he's going to need more development than some of these other guys near the top. But if we're talking about like a first round guy who I've been very high on, I consider him one of my guys, but I also see the potential for things to go south, and that's Jalen Johnson out of Duke. We didn't know everything. We still don't know everything, but obviously what transpired in terms of him leaving that team in the middle of the season, that team actually getting better with him off the court. They really, it was one unfortunate COVID strike, but they really had a chance to potentially win that ACC tournament with how they were looking and get into the NCAA tournament. That would have been a massive accomplishment for that team. But I've been burned by some guys in the past who I've wanted to believe so much in the talent, but some of the off the court stuff just doesn't shake out. Years past, I was a huge Josh Jackson guy, and not necessarily comparing both of their situations. I don't think they're the same type of person, but obviously Josh had some maturing to do off the court before he could really handle furthering his NBA career. And now he is, speaking of the Detroit Pistons, he's making a good name for himself again in Detroit, but it's taken him a little while. So I question the type of people that Jalen Johnson would have around him in these situations when he's making these decisions. Are these decisions 100% his? So those are just some questions I have. And again, I'm not around the situation. We're not going to have the answers to those questions, but I leave that much open that there is some doubt in me to take him with like a 5th or a 6th pick, which is where I initially had him like preseason. That's the range I would have absolutely been comfortable taking him in because he's a big time talent.
Yeah, absolutely. So, final question I got to ask you,
I was
Nathan.
trying to tell you
Yeah.
I was upstairs. It's okay.
So, who are your NBA draft sleepers? Who's your sleepers in the ones that we kind of need to look at? Maybe we're looking at maybe past lottery, maybe like some second round, late first round, second round kind of sleepers that that can make an impact.
I'll give you a good one. Josh Primo, guard out of Alabama. He has been climbing recently. Now that we kind of have some of his measurements, 6'5", combo guard out of Alabama, freshman from Canada. Didn't play a ton for Alabama, really got more of his run in the second half of the year, but you can just tell right away just by the eye test that this kid's going to be an NBA level guard. Has the ability to potentially score from all 3 levels of the court, still emerging as a passer, playmaker. He will have to improve at that part of the game. But as someone who I would want to bet on with a late first round pick, I've said for quite a while now, from the moment I first saw him very early on in the season, I thought that he was going to be a first round pick, and that buzz is finally bubbling back up. And I think that he's going to be someone that you see one of these playoff teams that don't necessarily have to rely on a rookie and bring them into the rotation right away. I think he's going to be a really good coup for somebody near the end of the first round.
Vacation Bible school.
Okay.
Everything went well.
And of course, don't forget about my man Joel Ayayi out of Gonzaga too. I don't see no first round buzz for him.
Oh, okay, then we'll do.
You want to talk about valuable role players, guys who aren't afraid to get down and dirty. They bring their lunch pail with them to work every day. Just very intelligent, savvy, can make plays off the bounce, can definitely shoot the ball from 3 when he's open. Those types of role players in the backcourt teams are always looking for as well. So he needs to get a little more first round buzz too.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely appreciate you. Nathan, for coming through. We're
Okay.
definitely going to try to get you back on before the draft and do some more draft stuff for us, man.
Okay,
so tell them where they can find you on social media.
Okay.
So you can follow us on Twitter at Draft Deeper. Definitely give us a good follow. We are always talking about basketball on that platform, whether it's the draft, whether it's these NBA playoffs we're about to get into. I got to go catch Hawks Bucks, but and then obviously subscribe to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, the whole 9 yards. So we appreciate your support. Thank you guys so much for having me on, and shout out Off the Ball Network, Chris, and all you guys have been great to me. So absolutely.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, man. Definitely follow this man. He know, hey man, we love what you're doing over there. So we definitely gonna definitely have you on before the draft is for the draft in July. So definitely appreciate you, man. We'll talk with you.
Yes, sir. Take care, guys.
Right. See you later, man.
Yeah, definitely huge shout out to our guy Nathan from Draft Deeper. Great content. Definitely follow him on social media, Draft Deeper. He's doing his thing, and we'll definitely have him on once again before the draft. So, our final topic, we'll talk about the Phoenix versus the Clippers Game 2 recap, where the Phoenix Suns won 104-103 in thrilling fashion. Now the Suns are up 2-0 in this series. So your thoughts on last night's Game 2?
Oh, the Valley-oop? Valley-oop?
Yeah.
Oh, man, that was a great game, man. It was a great game, man. Like, I think that game basically won Phoenix the series last night, because I felt like if the Clippers were going to have any chance to stay in the series, they had to at least split. Phoenix went up 2-0. I know the Clippers have been down 2-0 like 2 times, but I think it's too much for you to keep on expecting the team to come back from a 2-0 deficit. But it was a great game, man. There were a lot of ebbs and flows to the game, and then the Clippers were down by 5.
Yeah.
With about a minute and some change left, and they came back and took the lead 2 times. And Paul George was playing good, and I think it's unfortunate. He has kind of this it's a bit unfair, but he has a reputation for being unclutch, and he was clutch. He has been pretty clutch in these playoffs, hitting shots, distributing the ball and everything like that. And, for him to miss both of those free throws, man, that was rough. And that was just a great play call by Monty Williams, man, because I think a lot of people don't know the rules, man. On an NBL, there's no such thing as goaltending. So, that was a great play call. Shout out to Monty.
Yeah, big time. That was an interesting game. This is another one where the Clippers should have took it. They had a golden opportunity to win this basketball game, and obviously they didn't. Like you said, Game 2 was definitely pivotal, especially considering the fact that Chris Paul is coming back in tomorrow night's game. So that's definitely kind of pivotal to have him back in the fold. But with this Clipper team, you got to sit down and you think about it, and even losing by a point in this magnitude, you gotta really sit down and you think about it. That's the thing about you look at Paul George had 26 last night. Reggie Jackson had 19. You just look at, and they really get a lot of production off that bench. And you look at how essentially how the Clippers have been rolling. It's by their bench where you at least have one guy stepping up and putting spots. But you look at off the bench, Terrence Mann had 8. Also, your boy Luke Kennard, the dentist, Luke Kennard DBS, with 10 points, and Rondo with 8. So you look at it from that standpoint of, because normally they have their bench produces, especially in the games they win. So the series isn't over necessarily, but losing that game is kind of one of the things where it's almost like one foot out the door. I say maybe three toes out the door, not a complete foot quite yet. But it's definitely a situation where there is somewhat of a panic because I mean, Game 3 is pretty much a must win for the team, especially
Oh,
being
game
at
three,
home. It's a
game
must
three.
win because if not,
Game.
if not, then this could be a potential sweep, and I know they can't come back from being down 0-3, especially with this type of team, and then kudos to Phoenix, that depth. I'm really proud of Cameron Payne. As as me being a Bulls fan, yeah, he had a cup of coffee with us, and our management didn't even think he could play in his league. And we were, we were the one that that the Chicago Bulls organization was one that was the team that said they didn't think this guy could even play. And the considering fact this man had 29 points, filling in for Chris Paul in Game 2 of a Western Conference Finals, he could damn sure play in his league. So,
I think he's just a case of a guy who was 20, 21 years old when he first came into the league. He really was a bit immature. Mm-hmm. One of the things I heard about him was, and I've heard this from various people, that when he was with Chicago, he was partying a lot. Like I heard that he would stay out until like 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, and then he would come to practice. And of course, I mean, if you hung over, like only slept like 3-4 hours, like you're not going to practice well. And he was out of the league. Just circumstances just broke his way last year, man. He was in China. He played well for China, but then the season got canceled. The season got canceled because of COVID, and Phoenix had an injury they needed to look at. He played. He played very well in the bubble last year, and they signed him to a contract. So I mean, like he basically had 1 foot out of the league, pretty much.
Literally.
I mean, like. Yeah, but it's a great redemption story, man, for him, man. Last year he was pretty much out the league beginning of 2019, and then maybe basically, man, 2 years later, man, he might be an NBA champion, man.
Potentially, yeah. He's 6 games away.
Yeah,
six wins away from it. So and kudos to Phoenix, man, what they're doing, and even my little nephew, little Cam, he doing his thing. Cameron Johnson.
Cam Johnson.
Yeah, so my little nephew, he balling. He doing his thing, and definitely huge shout out to everybody at Phoenix, man. But tomorrow's pivotal for the Clippers. They got to take care of business. If not, and what's she gonna have? My goodness, like if Phoenix sweeps. Like they gonna have damn near almost 2 weeks off. I mean, they probably have like 19 days off.
I don't. You don't think Monty was like, look, man, we need to lose a game, man. Like, come on, man, we need to just lose a game. Just I don't know. Chris get thrown out the Devin get thrown out the game, get ejected from the game. Hey Kaminsky, we starting you at 2 guard.
Frank Kaminsky, right? Frank freaking Kaminsky.
Frank the Tank.
Yeah, because when you sit down and you think about it, because man, it's game 1 of the Eastern Conference is tonight. So basically, so if they sweep, that'll be Saturday. If Phoenix sweeps, it'll be Saturday. Game, because today's Wednesday, so the Friday. So game 3 will be on Sunday for this teams. I mean, for the Eastern Conference. So just even in a sweep. They have time because I think I forgot the starting date for the NBA Finals. It's like July. I forgot what day it was. Like I think it's like July 4th. No, that's like July 7th. I think some of that day.
It might be July the 6th because I was thinking maybe because it might be July 6th or July 7th.
So regardless, right? Because because literally they have about 10 days. 10 plus days off. So, but that's putting the cart before the horse. I definitely think the Clippers are make it somewhat of an interesting series. But just in theory, if they do sweep, they got a whole lot of time to in between the finals. But yeah, man. So so let's put a ball in this week's Couch Coach Live, man. Any final thoughts before we head out?
No final thoughts, man. Just say, hey guys, if you're a basketball player, don't be afraid to shoot. Do not be afraid to shoot. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. But yeah, man, definitely. Great show once again. So we got So follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under Couch Coach Live. Also, follow the podcast, and then follow the podcast on Apple, Spotify, anywhere you get your podcast. Also, check out Watch the Football Guys on our Facebook and Twitter page. We have a show this Friday. Definitely huge shout out to my guy Rob Cruz. But yeah, definitely huge shout out to my guy Rob Cruz, my co-host for the Watch the Football Guys podcast. We do that Friday at 8:00. And I think that is it as far as this week, but we'll ratchet up a little bit more. We'll be doing some stuff for the NBA draft. We'll be doing some stuff for the NFL the next couple of weeks. So definitely stay tuned to here on Couch Coach Live, man. So we'll catch you guys next week, man. This has been this week's Couch Coach Live.